Hi, my name is Nicole Cercelli, and I will be talking about the topic of food insecurity. Food insecurity should be looked at from a human rights perspective. What is food insecurity? Well, food insecurity is being unable or unsure if there will be enough food to feed the entire family. It can be due to lack of resources for food, lack of money, or other reasons. It has been an ongoing problem since the 1990s. Food insecurity is a large problem in our nation, and it is one of utmost importance, especially today due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Food insecurity rates are actually increasing. In 2019, 10.5% of U.S. households were food insecure. There are many policies and programs already in place, but the best option to help end food insecurity would be a human rights policy. Food is a basic human right, and a policy that sees food insecurity as a human rights issue and one that views its overall problem from a human rights-based approach would be the best. Food insecurity should be seen from the same human rights perspective. Having a policy that would view it solely from a human rights-based approach would help end or at least reduce food insecurity. There are many social and cultural and organizational factors. Not having enough access to food has many negative effects for one's well-being and overall quality of life. It affects emotional and cognitive development in children, and it's associated with poor outcomes in these two aspects. It also has suicidal ideation in adolescents. For adults, it causes depression, anxiety, and poor health. Single mothers, women living alone, and children have higher food insecurity rates. Being in a family where a parent is unemployed or does not have sufficient income is a mental strain for the child and for the family overall. Child poverty is rising. As of 2020, a total of 18 million children, or 1 in 4, are food insecure. When schools shut down due to COVID, children stopped receiving meals that they heavily relied on. Food insecurity is also influenced by race and ethnicity, and it is not an isolated event, which means that it is caused by many combined issues. There are more than one reason for somebody to be food insecure. Unfortunately, the United States fails to recognize hunger as a basic human rights issue. There is a large economic impact for food insecurity. It's very costly for the United States, and a large amount is spent every year. If a human rights policy was developed, then this number could decrease as the overall rate of food insecurity would decrease. In 2018, the federal government spent $68 billion on food assistance programs. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as SNAP, helped get 3.4 million people out of poverty, but it's not enough to reduce food insecurity overall. It's great that there are so many programs to help with food insecurity, but it's a lot to be spending on a problem that is still not decreasing. It would actually be cheaper to end hunger overall, as that costs less than food insecurity, and there's more money spent on food insecurity every year, which is really scary to know. Food insecurity is hurting the economy as it's also associated with many other expenses, such as increased medical care costs, lost educational attainment and worker productivity, and investment burden into the emergency fund system. Children alone cost the U.S. economy $28 billion per year, and they're associated with increased hospitalizations and long-term healthcare spending. Food insecurity and hunger is estimated at $160 billion. There are some political ramifications for this policy. There is still a difficulty in accepting social, cultural, and economic rights, which help contribute to food as a human right and other basic rights for everyone that they deserve. The right to food has not been embraced in the United States. There is controversy towards seeing food as a right for some people. Many food assistance programs are attacked and criticized by political leaders. People also make judgments and assumptions for people who use these programs. During COVID, they actually implemented some new policies that would be very helpful in limiting food insecurity. 3 of them are treating food as an essential service, incorporating health and safety measures, and supporting the most vulnerable populations. These 3 policies would definitely help in limiting food insecurity. Food is needed to live, and it contributes to a sustaining life, so it definitely should be seen with the right to food mentality. If a human rights policy is not developed, it is as if people's overall health and well-being do not matter, like they are being neglected and ignored. There are many major influences for food insecurity, such as income, employment, socioeconomic status, race and ethnicity, disability, age, and environment. Household income and food insecurity are directly related, as it's difficult to purchase food if you are not making enough income or having sufficient income come in every week or every month, however it comes in. It can be difficult to have enough money if you're unemployed because you have other bills and other things to focus on and other bills to pay, maybe healthcare bills, things like that. So it's hard to afford all these other costs and afford food. Race and ethnicity are also related, as there are many racial and ethnic disparities relating to food insecurity, as those who are Hispanic and African American have higher food insecurity rates. People who are disabled also have higher food insecurity rates, as they may have many healthcare and medical bills, and these bills are very expensive. And they also, if they have a disability, they may be on disability leave or unemployed, not able to work. So it becomes difficult to buy groceries if you're not making enough money and you have other bills to pay and other healthcare bills to worry about. So you may pay those bills first, and then you don't have enough money to buy food. People who are older are also at more of a risk to be food insecure, and children are also at a higher risk of food insecurity. The environment is very important, as where you live and your location depends on where the grocery stores are. For example, some places have grocery stores really far away or really spread out from where you live, or they don't have full supermarkets or full grocery stores, like full service ones. So, and if it's really far away, you may not be able to go, or you may not have transportation to get there if you don't have your own car, or there's no public transportation, or even public transportation can get expensive by having to pay for, say, a bus ticket every few weeks. You just may not be able to afford these things, and if you have no way to get there, or if it's over an hour away and you may have to work or do something with your children, it becomes really difficult, and then you just may not even end up going to the store because of the proximity, how far away it is. And oftentimes they just will not go shopping, or they'll go shopping every spread it out further, and you may not have enough food. So it becomes really difficult. So who would benefit or lose from this policy? Well, anyone suffering from food insecurity would highly benefit, as food should be seen as a universal right, and we cannot keep ignoring the people of our country. But the economy would also benefit, because less money would be spent and saved every year. All the money that's spent towards current reforms could be spent to just eliminate it overall, and then would save money in the end, which would therefore leave money for other programs that may need it. So we need to understand the right to food, and everybody needs to see the right to food. Those who are able to make a change, such as government and policymakers, need to make that change, and they need to understand and show to others what is the difference between a right and a privilege. A right belongs to all, and it cannot be taken away. A privilege does not belong to all, and it can be taken away. Food and adequate access to food is definitely a right then. It's needed in order to live and improve quality of life. It's needed to live a full, sustaining life, and you truly cannot live without it. So how could it not be seen as a right? No one should ever be deprived of this right. It affects so much of a person, their physical health, their mental health, emotional health. It truly affects every aspect of one's life. And I think that people need to understand that and embrace that. It should be seen from a human rights-based approach and made into a policy that takes into consideration these rights. If the issue of food and food insecurity was seen as a fundamental human right and turned into a policy that focuses on the right to food for everyone, then maybe one day food insecurity could be eliminated for good. Thank you.